Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Facebook Live Trauma Informed Tuesdays from Developmental Trauma Training Institute. I'm Steve Sawyer, and coming at you with another live. This week's focus is talking about why we choose brain spotting as one of our primary interventions for the Developmental Trauma Training Institute. As long as we've been at this work with developmental trauma, a pretty experienced team. I encourage you to go to our website and see how incredible our team is. Most of the team is made up of people that have worked with developmental trauma for 20 plus years. And in that, and with all of this experience, one of the ongoing dilemmas with having developmental trauma, growing up in developmental trauma, is that research has been very conclusive that the physiology of trauma, of childhood trauma, is trapped in our bodies. Books like The Body Keeps the Score, works like The Myth of Normal from Gabor Mate. All of these writings talk about the body. And it's been an evolution in the trauma treatment field to focus towards the body, because research has shown that the body holds the information of what we went through. A very common attribute of developmental trauma is that we can't remember a lot of the memories, or there's so many of them that we can't really heal them. And the challenge of that and the difficulty with this is that when you work with most trauma models, you're very focused on the specific memory. So the memory associated with what you grew up with, one that's scary, but what if you grew up with 1,000 events in your life as a child? And how do you even start? Where do you even go to? And for many people, it's very common that in developmental trauma that people don't recall a lot of their childhood. So why brain spotting? Brain spotting is a physiology-focused approach. There's different information out there now about it being some form of pseudoscience or something like that. And on a future Facebook Live, I could always talk about the specific areas of the brain that brain spotting focuses on. But when we have developmental trauma, the experience being trapped in our body and that physiology trapped in the body, we're not focused on a specific memory in brain spotting. We're focused on accessing physiology and in healing the physiology of the body. So with that, it's doesn't have to be a specific memory. It can be the felt sense of your childhood, or I know that something happened to me. It's not uncommon, even doing brain spotting with a focus on developmental trauma, that somebody might have some memory recalls related to something that they went through. They knew something happened. They can feel it in their bones. They can feel it in their body, and they can't recall what it is. Or you can feel in your body and in your bones the physiology, the movement in the body. That's the trauma that's still trapped there. And so, because brain spotting is really focused on the physiology approach, it's perfect for this. I'm also the developer of the developmental trauma model, brain spotting, which really focuses in on those 6 forms of dysregulation and really honing in on that in the body and getting access to it at its deepest roots. Our roots of our nervous system are grown by the environment that we grow up in. And so when we grow up in a traumatic situation, the body and the brain gets trapped in the state of fear and stress response. And then it progresses and gets programmed into the roots of our nervous system as a state of fear that manifests in multiple ways. I've talked about it on some of these Facebook Lives, the 6 forms of dysregulation. And brain spotting, we can get very focused and use that as a gateway in to healing the mind and the body. And it's beautiful because it's a non-controlled, non-directive model. So a person's own resilience, I talk about this a lot on my website. My tagline is, where trauma exists, resilience is lurking. As much as we have access to the early childhood trauma, we also have access to the physiology of things that were able to protect us, to respond to us. We might have been going through a terrible event, and maybe our grandmother or a family member or even a neighbor saw us and saw that we were in emotional pain, and they responded. And so that human connection in that moment is a part of that physiology or that store in the body. And the beautiful thing about brain spotting is we can get access to all of that, and the brain really finds its way to a place of stability and what we call homeostasis, calming down and finding an even experience in the world around us instead of being reactive. I talk a lot on here about responding versus reacting, but our reaction has been programmed early in life, and it's a form of reflex that just like when you go to the doctor and they hit you under the knee and your leg jumps when they test your reflexes, the trauma responses that we've been programmed with when we grow up in developmental trauma, they are reflexive in nature. So when we get fearful, when we get stressed, or we get acute stress response, many people in acute stress response right now don't realize that their roots of early childhood experience are how we're programmed to respond. So brain spotting, we have an ability to go in and focus in on the physiology of that. We have ways of narrowing down that focus in the developmental trauma model called digging roots. And we narrow in on the stress response. We can work on any topic like shame. We can work on reaction and rage and anger. If we've been programmed with the fight response, if we grew up in a household where there was lots of volatility, we learn and we become programmed, just like a computer program, to be volatile when we're under stress. So all of these attributes that come from developmental trauma, along with our resilience, are all very accessible when we use the brain spotting technique. It was founded by Dr. David Grand. He discovered it. He initially discovered it by watching reflexes in somebody's eye when they were working on in the body, and the ability to go in and work on these things in a very direct way is pretty profound. I've been a therapist now over 20 years, and been trained in a number of trauma models, and have many colleagues that have been trained in many. And as we worked with brain spotting, we did a lot of this work in the woods and our therapeutic programs we had years ago. We were able to get access and really change the nervous system to go to a more calm state. The 6 attributes of childhood trauma being those 6 forms of dysregulation, meaning the nervous system gets unregulated and reactive. Each one of those is very accessible. We can work on a number of them at a time sometimes when we're using brain spotting. And it's very precise in being able to get the body to release that process. So when we talk about brain spotting, we talk about it being a brain and body-based form of therapy. And it accesses this physiology, which is the whole nervous system response in the body, in a way that it can find regulation again. So that's why we're big fans of brain spotting at Developmental Trauma Training Institute. And if you've been on a long journey of trying to heal developmental trauma, if you have a good practitioner, it can heal much more rapidly than what a lot of people realize. That's one of the things we like about brain spotting too, is many people have developmental trauma, have been trying to heal for extensive periods of time, many therapists, many different models, many different attempts. And we've seen many, even at this point, I've seen over 1,000 people that had been trying to heal for a long time, be able to find healing, and it lives inside of them. That's one of the most beautiful principles of brain spotting, is that the healing comes from within. It's not the technique we do, it's our human presence of attunement with each other and us getting access to that storage that's in the body, and then being able to move it out together. You know, my friend Gabor Mate, we speak together once in a while, talks about all trauma lives in aloneness. And when I did work with him, he made a very poignant statement. He's a man of very wise words and speaks very eloquently. He says, "Steve, it was like you jumped in my capsule of aloneness and shattered it." So that's what brain spotting is about. It's about being present with somebody, and as that stress response comes on and that physiology comes on, that we can go in and we can release that, and we do it together, not doing it alone. And there's different attributes of developmental trauma, like fear response, that comes up in relation to somebody being there in our presence. And in the developmental trauma model, we talk about all of that and really focus in on being able to use attunement, human presence, to work through that, for the brain to release it. There are very specific areas of the brain that I speak about in a lot of my lectures that this involves. I'll spare you of that. And brain spotting, it's become far more popular. And a couple things that I've witnessed in that is people get really focused on technique versus presence, which is really, really essential for somebody who's healing developmental trauma, is being present, not being an authority figure, an expert, but to just be in presence with that person. And then turning on that physiology, that is an important part of brain spotting. And we call it the neural experiential model, meaning that neurologically, you're going to go in and some of those feelings and physiologies in the body are going to come alive again. And a lot of times our natural thing is to turn away from trauma. That's a natural response, to avoid it, to push it in the past and leave it there. But then when we're under stress, it comes in and haunts the present, damages our relationships, sabotages our success. There's lots of ways it plays out. But to be able to sit with another person and move that out of the body, you don't have to leave it in the past anymore. You can release it, to let it go. And when you're able to let it go, everything around our interaction in the world around us changes. The incredible power of getting this out of our bodies and healing has a dynamic impact, not just on us, but particularly if you have children or you're building a family. Releasing developmental trauma allows you to break the chains of generational trauma. I speak about that a lot. Generational trauma, is really programmed into the nervous system in early childhood experiences. And sometimes I lecture on the generational element of even epigenetics and how that influences it. But in the end, being able to be a healed individual allows us to have a healed family and break the chains that maybe were passed on to us by our family. So that's a little bit about brain spotting and why we're so passionate about it. Train it continuously. There's articles out there now. Anything that's working really well has to be challenged in that. And this is not any form of pseudoscience or new age work. There are people that are out there working in that way with it, but that's not how we work with it. And the people that I train, they know how to get access to these earlier developmental physiologies. We call them capsules that are trapped in the body, and able to integrate them to really release this the felt sense, or the body is holding on to that little child within. And when it's healed, it just changes the entire dynamic of how we relate with others, and how we operate in our lives, and how we even view the world around us. To see and actually feel requires us having enough space to do that. And developmental trauma experience can really dominate our lives to a point where we can't feel anymore. Things like depression and anxiety permeate people's everyday life, and to be able to release that, then you have a bigger heart connection to things around you. I have a beautiful view here in southern Idaho, shooting today, and to be able to see the beauty that's in front of us, to be able to feel it, is one of the biggest consequences of developmental trauma, is that we can't feel very much because we've had to be numb. We've had to hold that area of the brain in control because of our stress responses. And when we get access to that, we can. It's not just the painful stuff we get access to. When we get it out of the way and we move it out of the body, we get to connect with the beauty of the world around us. And to be able to do that, and to be able to experience that, the raw beauty of that's around us every day, beautiful landscapes, to be able to feel the beauty in our relationships, the people that surround us that are good, to feel a connection to our children, to our pets, to everything around us, even the spiritual side of things, all increases significantly when we get that area of the brain freed up of the poison that's trapped there. It was handed on to us often in our households, and that can be changed. And a lot of people feel very hopeless and seek many years of therapy to try to get that to shift, and it can actually be faster than people imagine. So thanks for joining us this morning. That's a little bit about why we're so passionate about brain spotting at Developmental Trauma Training Institute. And I encourage you to share this for people that are feeling hopeless. If you're looking for a provider on the Developmental Trauma Training Institute website, there's a providers page. And these are all people that were trained specifically in the developmental trauma model of brain spotting that's very focused and very precise in healing developmental trauma. It's a very specific application and way of getting access to the deeper roots of what somebody holds on to. So there's providers available there. They're from all around the country. Some of them work virtually also, and it actually works pretty good virtually when people are good with the techniques. So I'll say about that much today. I wish you all a beautiful day. And, if you're holding on to the old past inside of your body, inside of your mind, and it haunts you each day, depression, anxiety, rage, and anger, there is the ability to move that. We're able to release that today, and this is a very good way of doing it. So have a beautiful day, everyone, and until next week, take care.